you.
Okay,
Have a
thank
good
you.
meeting.
Yep.
Okay, are we ready? Okay, you can hear me? Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order and apologize to begin with that I completely zoned last week about having a meeting. So I think I was preoccupied with what's going on in our world. So we're a week late, and for that I apologize. Today, I'm going to remind you that if you have any conflict of interest per our advisory council bylaws that may arise during the course of the meeting, that you claim that now and or at the time of that topical discussion. Members who notified me that they are unable to attend today include Nathan, Lindsay, and John Grant. I do always invite Kirk Lacey, and I didn't hear anything back from him. So that's all I have heard from. So at this time, we'd like to introduce our public attending, and I know that Kathleen just had to leave. So Justin Merkel, are you still there? I think.
I am. I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not doing the video because
Okay.
I'm actually working. So I just wanted to listen in and see what was going on with your Bitterroot Community College. I'm actually an engineer, electrical engineer, or I'm a mechanical engineer, but I work in the electric industry. And I currently work for HDR Engineering out of Missoula, and with this remote meeting, I was able to attend, so that's actually a good thing. And I just wanted to see what was going on in the Bitterroot and see if there's anything I can do to further the cause of public education, see if there's any more engineering type, technical type work that we could support in the Bitterroot. So that's basically all I'm here for. So if you have anything, send it through Tori, and she can send it my way if you have anything of interest. So.
All right. And on our agenda, Justin, there is a place where we're talking about the eventual outcomes of the Community College Initiative, so we'll probably engage that conversation at that point in the agenda. Thank you for joining us. And then I have Monique.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see some faces. Sorry you can't see mine. That's what you get for living in Montana with limited internet. We all know what that's like. I'm the director of Missoula County Public Schools Adult Education Program, and we provide services in Mineral, Missoula, and Ravalli County. So glad to join the group and provide support when I can.
All right, welcome. And then Kent, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Kent Barbian. I'm just here gathering information. Thank you.
Great. All righty, thank you very much. All right, with that, am I missing anyone else that needs to be introduced? Or I should ask Justin and Kent whether or not you are able to see the members of the council, their names. Maybe we should have people introduce themselves to you because of this methodology of having the meetings. So I'll start. My name's Candy Lubansky. I'm the chair of the advisory council. And Terry, can you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Terry Burkhouse. I am vice chair of the council. Been involved with the college for years. And since early November, I've been interim academic advising director. And that's soon to end here within maybe a month.
All right. Jennifer, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I'm Jennifer Johnson, and I'm a faculty member at Bitterroot College, and I'm also the faculty liaison and faculty representative on the advisory council.
Thank you. India.
I am India Height. I am a student representative on the Bitterroot College Advisory Council. So, yeah, I'm a student.
Thank you. Sue?
Hi, Sue Smith. I'm on the advisory council. Retired CEO, Ravalli County Federal Credit Union.
All right. Thank you. And does everyone know Tori? And Dave Beatty.
Hi, I'm Dave Beatty. I'm a council member and state representative, House District 86.
Thank you. Bob.
Yes, I hope I'm off mute. Bob Nichols, retired social services. I worked with workforce investment projects with vocational rehab and job service and Ravalli services. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Erin.
I'm Erin Rosenkrantz, Bitterroot College Student Success Manager.
Thanks for joining us. And Justin, it looks like we can see you now.
Yeah, I thought I'd let you guys see who I was, but I'll probably go off of video so that I can just continue on and listen as I work. So.
Okay, thank you. And then Elida.
Hi, good morning. My name is Elida Merritt. I'm a registered nurse and member of the Advisory Council. I'm the Director of Infection Prevention and Control at Marcus Daly Hospital here in Hamilton. Loving every minute of it. And my work with the college has included, previously, a few years ago, helped teach one of the some of the certified nursing assistant classes, and have just been in the capacity of advisory council member for probably about 2 years now.
Excellent, thank you. And Tim.
Yeah, my name is Tim Johnson. I'm the superintendent for Val School District, and I'm the, I guess, a superintendent representative on the council.
Welcome. All right, have I forgotten anyone? All right, then we will move forward. Thanks for those introductions. Is there any public comment on any item that is not on our agenda? Hearing none, we will proceed. Our first action item is approval of the January, February minutes. And I made a note there that our March meeting was canceled due to COVID-19 closures. So there will not be, obviously, March minutes. So we're hearkening way back to January and February. And those were sent out when we sent the agenda. Do I have any corrections or changes to the minutes? Sue, I always look to you because you are good with detail.
I unmuted. I don't see anything. It was a lifetime ago, but I moved that we approve the meeting, the minutes from the February 5th meeting.
Okay, so I have a move made by Sue. Is there a second? Terry, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? It's coming out like aye, aye, aye. All those opposed, same sign? Okay, motion carried. Thank you very much. Is there any public comment on the minutes? Okay, hearing none. We are then on to our director's report. Tori sent that earlier this morning, and this is our opportunity to ask questions, seek clarification, and make comments.
And for those of you so I sent it out at 9:31 this morning to the advisory council members, but for the members of the public, I could do a screen share right now and show you the link, and you guys could be looking at the report online, or I could just bring up the report. I could screen share it. Either way. So
Usually,
the public, what works for you? Oh yeah, Jen.
Sorry, I should have raised my hand. You can probably put that through on chat. You can share it as a file on chat, so they can download it directly in the moment.
So I go to chat, and then I go to the little dots.
You should have a little file icon as well.
Wow, I do not see a file icon, but maybe I'm in chat.
It's probably because you have chat restricted. So
okay, yeah. So let me see if I can.
So show them the link.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Actually, I could put the link into chat, right?
Yeah, just put the link into chat, and then they can just grab it.
Wait, everyone. Hang on. I just changed the restriction to see if that made any difference. Didn't seem to. Okay, so let me just put the link into chat. Hang on. That's kind of a long link.
Yeah, so usually if you send if you send it to everyone in chat, you'll get the little folder. But if you send a message to one individual person in chat, you will not get the folder option. So you might try switching your chat to everyone.
Yeah, I did. Oh, wait, look at that.
Yeah, so you should see that little file right there. Yeah, so it'll send it to everyone, but you know, who cares?
I got it. Okay, cool. Let's see. Let me just find it. Now I have to find the.
Yeah, obviously it works easier if it's a PDF.
Yeah, it is. It is. So that's good. Okay.
Sorry, I do this with my students a lot.
This is really cool. All right, didn't know about. Well, at any rate, so can everyone see it now? It's on the chat. Of course, this doesn't help for Tim, but Tim, I did put it out in an email. Maybe you hopefully got that one. Can you guys see it in the chat?
I did get it, so I'll be looking at it. Don't worry. I'll be looking at it via email.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so with that, the first part was clearly all the work that the Bitterroot College has done to transition coursework to online and remote access, and I really appreciated, Tori, your differentiation between teaching a humanities class online versus, for example, Jennifer doing a chemistry lab. I just can't even imagine. I did have a question for Erin. Maybe sharing with the council how you're working with students, because you're not teaching a class per se in the same way, but you're still connecting with students. So if you could share that with us.
You're unmuted, but we can't hear you.
My headphones are being wonky, sorry. I can connect with students in a variety of ways. I'm also the disabilities coordinator, so I do one-on-one communications with students who I'm their coordinator to make sure they have accessibility and tackling the challenges that both students and faculty have found in this new platform. But we're working out the kinks. For the most part, seems to be working out pretty well. I've been hosting some Zoom meetings, just a coffee hour type meetings with students. India has been to one, but she refused to show me her hair. So they've been really, really helpful for students to pop in and just ask questions, setting up meetings for Terry to talk to students about advising, or with the pre-nursing advisor up on main campus. We've hosted a couple of meetings together as well. I also host all the tutoring, so my evenings are pretty busy with tutor sessions. I'm the host, so I sit through courses on chemistry and math for the most part. It seems like students are, yes, definitely, whoop, whoop. It seems like the ones who were already engaging with those programs have just moved onto this platform and are seeking assistance any way they can. We're hosting some pop-up tutor sessions on Fridays for the next last week and the next 2 weeks. Same with math. I have a tutor session at noon today for math. Just seems like everyone is either doing really great or there's a couple that are just lagging behind, and honestly those are mostly technical problems. So we've been really fortunate, even though it's taken us a little bit of time, to get a hold of everyone to see what their needs are and assist them in any way they can. So overall, I feel like most of our students, although they miss our campus, they're still doing it. They're still engaging. I still hear positive feedback from students. And they're just, some of them just call me to check in. So having a Google phone app has been a benefit as well, so they can get a hold of me or just text me if they have a simple question.
Wonderful. That is probably a lifeline well beyond school for a lot of those folks. So thank you very much.
It really feels like it's just, I'm just at home doing exactly what I was doing on main campus. A lot of, you're going to be fine. You're going to do great. The only thing I don't get to do is go in before Jennifer's classes or her test days and go, you guys are awesome. So I miss that part, but they're doing well. And I've been sending out 2 to 3 emails a week with students, information about pop-ups, meetings, ways to get a hold of us, directing them for graduation or to Terry for advising, fall advising, things of that nature.
Excellent. Terry, how has advising been?
It's actually been going well. Surprisingly, back when I had my first phone appointment, I was curious how it would go, but it's been going real well. I will say that most students opt for a phone appointment versus Zoom. There's been a few Zoom appointments. India was one. And we've been trying to have Jamie, who is taking over for me permanently here in about a month. She's been participating in a few of the Zoom appointments just to learn a little bit more about the process. What else? I can't think of. I actually did want to mention something, and I know some of you already heard this, but since Tim's on the phone, Tim, my 2 grandsons go to Corvallis schools. One is a junior, and the other one's in, I'm trying to think, 8th grade, something like that. Interesting talking to them. I asked them last week how they liked it and if they what would like to continue doing remote learning. And both of them said, although they miss their friends, they can figure out a way to visit friends, that if it were up to them, they would do remote learning in high school or in school and college the rest of their life. So I thought that was an interesting take, that now, public school students are getting a taste of remote learning.
Wow. Excellent. Oh,
yeah,
that is.
Terry, can I follow up on that comment?
Yes.
Yep. So that is something that, and I can only speak for Corvallis, but I think you're going to find districts statewide are going to be looking at online learning as a more embedded option for students, whether that's high school or whether that's K-12. There's money that's come to the public schools through the CARES Act, and that money is supposed to help reduce the impact of the COVID-19 impact, basically, on public schools. And one of those things will likely be for school districts investments into infrastructure for increased capacity for online and remote learning. So I think to kind of comment on what you're saying, Terry, I think that is a likelihood, a high likelihood. I know in Corvallis we're looking at that strongly right now. And it's part of, it's tempered by the fact that we don't have a lot of time to do some of these things. So summer school starting next fall, these are all within months now. So But that is something I think that we've recognized as the school district, and it's also been part of a lot of superintendent conversations around the state as well.
Wow, excellent. Jennifer, could you, as being a chemistry teacher, kind of share with the council how you've been doing labs?
Well, the labs, labs have been pretty challenging because students don't have access to the equipment and the reagents they need in order to get a practical knowledge of how to do things in a lab, in a chemistry lab specifically. And I know the same experience is being had by our other lab instructors, microbiology, and also in anatomy and physiology and biology as well. But solutions that we've come up with, as far as what I've come up with for chemistry is I have been using some online simulations and then developing workshops around those simulations. Now, while those are excellent ways to increase, the student's ability to problem solve in a pseudo-applied environment, it still doesn't give the students the aesthetic learning they need to actually understand how to do a measurement using a particular instrument, or how to use chemicals in a safe way, or develop a particular skill set around a specific technique. So while it's been good from a problem-solving perspective, just literally pen to paper, it still doesn't solve the problem of the ability to do the act, the ability to actually run the machine, to actually to perform a technique specific to a specific experiment. So that is part of it that concerns me about the future, particularly for fall semester. So that's specific to lab. What I did want to mention to the council, though, and something that I've observed and other faculty members have observed, is there's definitely been a demarcation between, a demarcation made by socioeconomic factors in this type of remote instruction. So students that now have kids at home that they have to homeschool, where they didn't have to before, or now they have to care for at home. These same students are also working themselves, and so aren't able to, put the time and effort into attending class. So they're relying on recorded class sessions. Some of those are recorded and offered to students. Some of them are not. So students that also, find themselves unable to have adequate internet service. That's mostly what we've seen, because BC, the staff has provided them with technology to supplement what they need technologically, cameras, computers, microphones, things like this. But the internet is the internet, and so bandwidth is bandwidth. And so these students, some of them, most of them, have decided, if they have poor internet, to actually drive to our campus and sit outside of campus in their cars, and go and come to class, which I think is amazing and impressive dedication-wise. But other students don't have that option, again, because they have little kids at home, no other parent, they can't bring in grandparents, so they don't have that option. And so there's definitely a line being drawn on, again, on the socioeconomic, factor that has reduced certain students' ability to attend class and have success in their classes. So while I understand the drive for remote instruction, and I understand that the background aspect of it seems very, very amazing, and it seems like a wonderful way to support students, it does put a certain pressure on those students that don't have options available to them with respect to childcare and with respect to work. So, you know, and some students have decided to increase their workload, or their bosses have said you need to come in more, you need to work 12-hour days instead of what you were working before, because of the situation that we're in. I have one student, actually I have several students that are in that, but they're over several different classes. So, that is something to be considered as we move forward into fall. Something that we should probably think about, how to address the disparages in, or excuse me, the differences in the socioeconomic situations that our students find themselves in.
Wow, yeah, that's an excellent summary of challenges of online. I would submit that it isn't even bound by socioeconomics in some ways, because just bandwidth in our valley is where I sit is a challenge for me. So
sure, yeah. So that's again, it's another factor in it. If you don't live somewhere where you have excellent internet, for whatever reason, then you're kind of, you know, bound by that situation. If you don't have parents living with you in your home currently, you're bound by that situation. If you are a single parent, I mean, I know a student who has three small kids, you know, all under the ages of 7, something like that, and he's on his own, a single parent, and so he is struggling quite a bit with, you know, tending to his children's needs, and then also, you know, being able to attend school. So while the majority of the students have really stepped up, and it's been pretty amazing to see their resilience and their creativity in solving this problem of bandwidth, particularly, there are some of the population of students that are getting kind of lost in the mix, just because of how they find themselves. And I just wanted to let the board know about that.
You know, I think you're bringing up an excellent point, and that is, in this process with our stay-at-home orders and having to access everything differently, I'm really concerned about losing students because they're frustrated, because they don't have the resources. And I want us to think about, when this is over, how do we re-engage those people, invite them back, support their return differently than people that had the resources to stay up. So I encourage us to be thinking and planning for that. Wow, thank you very much, Jennifer.
I'd like to add something. I went to the grocery store yesterday and I ran into a student, and they had said something about when this first happened that you had the option to drop, but they were already halfway through the semester. And it had confused me, because my first thought when we had transitioned to going home, I was like, I can do this. 2 of my classes are online anyway. This is, you know, breezy. And this person's opinion was like, almost immediately they wanted to drop because they love the in-person dynamic. And they're like, but I'm already halfway through the semester. I'm not going to get that money back. And it was just such a different opinion from mine. I didn't know that there were people who had kind of been feeling that way, that this hadn't been what they'd wanted or what they'd planned on, which I guess is not what any of us wanted to plan on. But I had found that kind of surprising, and it made me kind of sad. So I was like, okay, I really hope this thing gets over with quick, because I want to get, you know, the in-person dynamic back to make people who really, really engage with that happy again. So that's just adding on what you already said, but it was just,
yeah,
I ran into
I've heard that same thing too, actually, that the criticism is, I didn't sign up for this, and now I'm being forced to do it, and I don't like it, but I'll do it, but I don't like it, and I want to get back to school, I want to get back to campus, I want to go back, I want to go into the SFC, I want to see Mary, I want to see Aaron, you know, I want to, you know, talk to John, I'm going to come to your office and see your fish, you know, all these kind of things. So.
Which is sad, because that's what everybody wants too. Like, you guys don't have any control over this either. You're like, I would love to see you. Yeah, this isn't our failing. This is no one's failing. This is just what we're doing now. So
I think what you're characterizing is an important, very important feature about our college, and that is that for many people, it's the place that they get positive support. It is the place where people value what they have to say and what they have to contribute, and that's really an important, obviously important.
Yes, I know a lot of my friend group at school just shows up in the morning and does homework until their class, or they take their class and then they do homework till the next one, or they finish their class and keep doing homework or hanging out until like closing time, because that's just their happy place. That's where they get stuff done. And, you know, we love it. I mean, I love it too. So it's unfortunate to see that, you know, stripped in such a way that nobody has any control over it, and it's for everyone's safety. But that's
and we miss the coffee too. We miss the coffee.
Candy, this is Elida. Can
Yes.
I speak? So in just talking about and listening to the comments, and I think you may have said, well, when this is over, this will probably not be over for quite some time. And so there's been a lot of discussion now about the new norm and what does that look like with the advice and the guidance that's come from the White House on reopening America. I think there are a few elements that the college can take some guidance from. Here at the hospital, we are talking about reopening services. What that looks like yet, we don't know, but a piece of it, and I'm sharing this with the college, is something to just keep at the back of your mind, is universal masking. It is fully expected that when the governor starts to release the stay-at-home restrictions and allows businesses to resume, people are going to be out in public. They're going to be circulating despite advice to wear masks, because they are showing to help reduce the transmission of COVID-19, that there's going to be an uptick in the cases. And so, but what they do see is that masking the source, either the person who is asymptomatic or the person who even has just mild symptoms, that masking them goes a long way towards reducing the risk of spread. And so here at the hospital, we have tried to make things as safe as possible. Only essential visitors. We are not allowing the majority of vendors. People just can't come in and see their friends who are here in the hospital. And people have self-selected to not come in for normal, healthy appointments, say like their mammogram or their DEXA scans or my annual wellness exam. I'm going to wait until it's safer for me to be out in the community. And so I think the university can take some of those practices and put them in place, and you may be able to overcome the challenges of the face-to-face experience that so many students benefit from. So it's something to put out there, and I'm happy to share as the hospital moves forward with our own plans and what it looks like. But if you have students who are sewers, this may be something to go ahead and initiate and say, okay, as a campus, when we can resume classes, we are, for everyone's safety, we are going to institute universal masking, because most of those class settings, you can't do the 6-foot distancing. It's just not possible. But that's something to go ahead and start thinking of and planning for, and getting those masks together. And so every student who enrolls, until this school deems otherwise, everyone masks, and it just becomes the new norm.
Oh, that is excellent, excellent feedback and advice. And I guess my question would be to Tori, are we able to make that a requirement if we are able to reopen?
Well, so we actually did on a week ago Monday, put in policy, and it's on our website, that if employee or an employee, student, or staff member, or member of the public happens to find themselves on campus, even though we're closed, we still have some people coming and going, that you have to have a mask on. You have to have a face covering on. And so that's on our website. It's on our homepage. You can link to it. We have a link to the CDC guidelines on how to wear a face covering, and then how to make your own face covering, whether sewn or just cutting it out of a t-shirt. So we have quote unquote made that requirement, though of course the campus's operations are quite suspended. So, you know, how it's being policed, you know, et cetera, or even need to be policed because really no one's there. I will certainly push to, if we open and when we gradually open and have staff there and then public can come, that my requirement will be a mask, a face covering. Hopefully the Montana University system will back up that kind of requirement and require it across the system, and that if we as Bitterroot College say we're requiring it, the MUS won't say, oh, you can't really require it. I think that at this point in time, I would push against that and say that you know, we will require it. But again, I mean, one thing that's been very interesting about this situation is the Bitterroot College, and I think all of the units really of the MUS or in Montana higher education, although we are a system, we tend to operate quite independently. And even the Bitterroot College, the UM doesn't, and you know, this is all good, more or less. The UM doesn't pay that much attention to us. So we can kind of do things and no one really questions it. We can have rules and they're not really, you know, they can just be held internally and people are good with them. Right now, it's been very good with the MUS. The system has stepped up and really pulled all the units together, and we have lots of meetings of all the unit leadership, and even kind of the second tier leadership is getting together and discussing things. And it's been so wonderful in terms of spreading ideas and dialoguing with people what their problems are, and then they have ideas. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, and that is fabulous. I mean, it's been great just to and this isn't the UM versus MSU versus the community college. It's just the whole higher education system has come together and step up to the plate with ideas and support. The bad thing, the potential downside is that it's not necessarily a downside, but it's just when we are all together, then there's a sense that someone needs to be, that the buck stops with someone. And so it's not always, oh, what's everyone's idea and everyone implements their own idea. It's suddenly like, oh, maybe we all have to be on the same page and everyone has to be using the same set of rules. And so a little bit of my concern has been that, oh my gosh, the Bitterroot College would like to have, we want to have a mask requirement, but what if the university system says, well, you can suggest it, but you can't make it a requirement? And I have a feeling that the university, I mean, system, they may say it's a requirement and then we're set, right? We're all on the same page. But if their decision is differently than what our campus would like, that will get complicated. Though we won't be the only campus that will have those sorts of differences and complications, it'll be just interesting to see how it plays out. I hope that maybe there'll even be a governor directive like, you got to wear masks, and then we don't have to worry about having different rules and thinking of it differently. But it will be interesting. Sorry to give so much of an explanation, but I actually did want to share how the system has really come together to support each other. But the system then also is beginning to see, oh, we should have the same rule for everyone, and that is good and bad. At any rate, thoughts?
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, thank you. I hadn't thought about that part of it. Okay, we are on the director's report. So I really appreciate the updates about how the college is responding to the changes that we've all gone through and the future challenges as they've been characterized. Are there any, I had one question about the computer purchases for people. Was that a university system resource that helped all the campuses do that?
Well, so what happens is that we had kind of, we get a little budget every year from student fees to purchase equipment. And then we also have access to kind of ask for a little extra money from the same pot of money at the UM. And so I have to say Hannah Gimple and, well, it's probably Hannah and Aaron and I don't know. I know it wasn't my idea, but it occurred to someone, oh my gosh, let's look for emergency funding for more laptops. And so we did that with the UM, and they accelerated the process for approval. Usually that approval process is like 6 months, but it was 24 hours, and the UM really stepped up to the plate to get the money, to approve the money, approve the purchase. And then of course we had problems with the purchase because suddenly every college in the nation and school district in the nation is going, oh my God, we all need 200 more computers to give the students. But the UM really helped Hannah and John Swallow get creative about finding a vendor that would give us computers. So in the end, the turnaround was really fast, and yeah, it wasn't, you know, it's never, whatever, we had to make a few concessions, but nothing compared to, you know, having to wait 6 months. So the purchase and everything was accelerated, and, you know, systems that usually don't turn on a dime were turning on a dime. And again, this to me just showed the understanding at the university level, UM level, the state level has really been, it's been what you'd want it to be, you know, what you thought it would never be, and they could never do it, but they've done it, and it's good. It's great.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, other questions on the director's report aside from the community college initiative, because that's a specific agenda item. Any other questions on the director's report?
I don't have a question, but a comment. I agree with Tim, and I know Seth Bogner said months ago about remote learning and needing to go to or wanting to go to a more remote learning situation. And I just don't feel that the school systems, whether it's K through 12 or whatever, is ever going to be quite the same. This is going to be, I don't know if we want to say it's the new normal. At some time it may become normal. Right now it's kind of the new abnormal.
I'm writing.
I think we need to see it as a developmental stage that we can expand with our technology and buy computers and buy these upgrades in IT, but really we're talking about a social developmental stage that people they just have to embrace it to a certain degree, to not just in education, but there'll be a survivor skill here. We build our repertoire and our social interaction. We still will find ways to interact, hopefully face to face, even if it's 6 or 10 feet apart. But I think we're going to see a whole expansion here. I guess in the past it would be called distance education, distance learning, but we're going to be building these skills as we speak, just like today's meeting. It's going to be kind of exciting too, in a way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Other comments on the director's report or questions? Do we have any questions or comments from our public attending?
No, but I need to head out. This is Kent.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Kent.
Oops.
Corey, do we need to bring up anything with commencement? Usually the advisory council is involved in commencement. What does that change in their capacity this year?
I know. I mean, I guess I could just make a quick comment on that. Whoa, Terry!
Yeah.
No, you found the Northern Lights. The yeah, you know, as we've been thinking about commencement, I have to say we haven't included the advisory council, though I do think we're looking at kind of doing a commemorative program. I mean, usually kind of a keepsake from a commencement ceremony is the program with your name in it and, you know, this, that, and the other. And so we are looking at doing a kind of a commemorative program that would include, it would have a lot of names so that it would jog people's memory years later when they look at the program and go, oh, that was the gal at the front desk that really helped me. Oh yeah, it was Mary Talene, you know. So to put staff in and all faculty and, you know, I should add advisory council. So I'm going to make sure that you guys are all in the commemorative program. So again, you know, who was leadership at the time of this event? And I mean, I think oddly enough, as a kind of a historical perspective, to make some objects that are time sensitive to this event are going to be important in the memory and in retaining the memory, both the good and the bad, and so that we, I don't know, this is historic, and in 30 years and 50 years and 100 years to go back and maybe someone will have in their shoebox, oh my God, yeah, my grandfather graduated from college that semester and this is what the program said. I mean, I don't know. So I think we're looking at it a little bit that way with graduation and thinking about keepsakes that people can have to think about this whole period of time. So I will remember to put advisory council in there. Thank you.
Corey, this is Elida. So at this point, commencement would not be in accordance with the recommendations for crowd size. Have you given some thought to doing a virtual event instead?
Yes, and so what, amazingly enough, is that in the surveying of students across the Montana University system, students are not interested in a virtual graduation. Staff and faculty tend to be, but students, and now it even looks like the surveys are showing that students don't even want a delayed graduation. So for a while we were like, well, first of all, we had a virtual graduation plan, and then that just nobody wanted it. And then, well, we'll do a little something. We'll send out these commencement packages, and then we'll plan for something in October. And it was like, no, people don't really want to celebrate graduation in October. So it's been quite a shifting for colleges on this. I would say it appears it may be a little different for high school graduations, but it's right now we are working off this assumption that people, that we're working off the data that people don't want us to do a virtual graduation. That all being said, for our 25 graduates, Terry will be getting a list tomorrow or the next day from Mary. And we're going to call all our graduates, and we do have Plan B that we can do a virtual ceremony if for some reason our students are just dying for it, because we haven't, because the survey was done across the UM, which included our students, and the UM's feedback was no virtual ceremony and no, I think they're still toying with delayed, but really they're, I think, starting to say no delayed ceremony. But maybe our 20 students will feel differently. We do have a plan for virtual. The one thing that we are doing, which is a little bit of
at the minimum, maybe even consider I'm sorry.
No, well, one thing that we were seeing, make sure we can do it within social distancing rules, is to have the afternoon of graduation, which is that Friday the 8th, and the next day, which would be the UM graduation, is that we will schedule people in 15 to 20 to half an hour slots to come in to the college, and we will have cap and gown, and you can have your cap and gown, and we'll take your picture, and we'll also at that point give you your commencement package, which would be your cords and your tassel and diploma cover and all those kind of things. And if you opted not to do that, we could just send you the package. And then once we had everyone's photograph. Then we would make this commemorative program, and we put people's photographs in the program, and then we would mail that separately to each graduate is a copy of the printed hard copy commemorative program. So it's not a virtual ceremony, but it is like one where you come and you get dressed up and you get your picture, and so we're looking at that idea. But yes, go on. Sorry.
And then the masking. I'm going to circle back to how do you effectively make that happen if you're going to have your masking role? Yeah.
Well, maybe with your well, so certainly all staff would be masked, but you're making me think of it. Is we could, as part of our commencement package, give everybody a mask. I know that I'm at home sewing masks, so I could sew masks for the 20 graduates. I probably could split it with some other sewers out there. But maybe that's a great idea. I mean, I bet that we could include that in the commemorative package as a mask. I like it.
Certainly your picture would look be oh, remember when we, yeah.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. I mean, again, it's
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
A mask with a Bitterroot on it would be kind of cool.
That's what I was just thinking. We should have the Bitterroot flower and the symbol.
Yeah.
So does anyone good at embroidery? That I'm not so good at embroidery. But maybe, I don't know, we're going to think about how we can apply that to the
I would say get it printed, get
Yeah.
that graphic printed on the cloth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it's going.
Well, excellent. Any other questions or comments, except for about the initiative on the agenda at this point? And public comment. All right, hearing none. The question was posed by several council members about whether or not what the eventualities might be if the initiative for an independent community college does not pass on May 5th. And I wanted to thank Tori for capturing in the minutes a description and a summary of what would need to happen. I think for our purposes as a council, I'm interested in what our council members feel about the role of the council if it doesn't pass, and the actions needed by the council if it doesn't pass. And I want to share a comment that John Grant made when he called and said he couldn't attend. He wanted me to share with the council members that if the initiative does not pass, we currently do not have a clear written governance agreement with the university or with the university system. And those understandings that are clear and visionary are not in place, and that should be very clearly an expectation of the council, that we are very clear with the university saying we have to have this in writing. We have to have an agreement and everything that goes with an agreement. So that was John's statement that he wanted me to share with you all. So with that, questions or conversation input about if the initiative does not pass?
Well, I'll start, I guess. Well, I'm still interested in being involved, and My goals haven't changed, that I want to see Bitterroot College survive and thrive. And, you know, if it doesn't pass this time, maybe next time. I was a little, maybe discouraged is not quite the right word. I was a little concerned that it couldn't be run at a worse time, but maybe this is a good time to run. The people that I'm talking to, I haven't heard anyone come out and say that they are not in favor of Bitterroot College right now. I'm fielding lots of phone calls about, well, who do we vote for, because they don't recognize the names. But yeah, people seem to be really supportive, at least the ones that are talking to me. Yeah, keep our fingers crossed and our toes crossed. And so to be on a more positive side, what happens next if it does pass? I mean, we can talk about what happens if it doesn't pass, but what happens if it does pass?
Okay, can we put that question as our the next piece to this conversation? Because Sue, to follow up on what you're saying, I think if it doesn't pass, it becomes even more fundamental that the council be assertive, supportive, obviously not abandon our students, and that we become perhaps even a more vocal, unified force, because whether it passes or not, the students are our main priority. And I want us to do everything we can to support them and to, you know, identify what support means and what our actions should be. So if it doesn't pass, I still really feel strongly that this council is just essential, and maybe even more essential.
I agree.
So this is Terry. I had a call from one of our students this morning, who Jennifer and Tori know, and Aaron from Sharon, and she told me that if this doesn't pass, she almost for sure is not going to go to Bitterroot College anymore. She will transfer to a non-UM school somewhere. Thought that was interesting.
Wow.
Why, Terry? This is Bob. Why?
She said that if it doesn't pass, that she just doesn't trust UM as being the overseer, and wants to get out of the system.
Interesting. Okay. I have to say, Terry, our view of you is that you look brilliant because the northern lights are coming out of your head.
Like a crown. I was going to mention something too, a statement made that's kind of dramatic like that. I had a friend who's a student who got an email that said, hey, you owe us $200 from the U of M. And she goes, excuse you, I paid. And she got on the phone with Mary, and Mary's, of course, like going to bat for her, but they had a heck of a time trying to get her out of it, and it's still pending until like August. But it was somebody in the university system had added and dropped a bunch of classes on her account, like just went in and messed everything up, and it ended up being all these extra charges that they took to her plate and said, these are for you. So of course, as I understand it, her and Mary are, you know, fighting tooth and nail, because that's just not something that this person can at all afford. At this point, they're having like all kinds of hospital stuff and or dentist stuff, I should say. So I don't know if things of that nature maybe happened to this person Terry's talking about. I don't know, but I thought that was an interesting, like, wow, that really sucks, and I can't believe they would that could happen. It just, hi, you owe us another $200. So that might be a contributing factor if something like that happened. I don't know with the U of M system.
I'm going to take it that she loves the instruction at BC so much. That's how I'm going to take it.
You're right.
Okay, other comments, questions, concerns about the initiative, if it passes, and if it doesn't pass? So yes, Dave.
So I'm not sure if you wanted to, how far you wanted to go into this, but let's comment on what happens if both votes on the initiative pass, both the formation vote and the levy vote. This is going, if that happy event does occur, those happy events do occur, this is going to be an interesting proposition in the legislature next session, because right now the forecasts are that revenues are going to be really restricted, and that we're going to be going into a legislative session, likely to be going into a legislative session where draconian cuts may be necessary across the state budget. So from that point of view, I hate to rain on anyone's parade, but that's going to make it all the more challenging. Strategy might be to seek legislative approval, but have the funding follow by a year or something. I don't know. I'm just speculating now, because the committee work I'm doing, matter of fact, I got a subcommittee meeting tomorrow. We're tracking our revenue estimates pretty closely, and we don't have a clear picture yet, but most people are saying we're looking to have a very brutal legislative session because of the disruption of revenue. Switching to the other topic, what happens if both don't pass? Because let's face it, if we pass the authorization vote and don't pass for the local funding, it's dead in the water. This proposition is dead in the water. So let's suppose this doesn't happen. It seems to me that what we should be looking for going forward is either to figure a way to create Bitterroot College as an autonomous campus within the university system, a la Helena College. Might be possible. It's certainly an option. And the other option would be, if we're going to remain essentially a branch campus in the University of Montana, I agree with John 100%. We need to hammer out exactly what that means and what the obligations are for both parties, both us and as a branch and the university as a university. But one way or another, whether we succeed as a community college or become an autonomous campus with MUS, or whether we become a branch campus that's actually recognized and treated in a predictable way, I agree that we need to keep this presence in Ravalli County and in the Bitterroot. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Great, thank you very much. Very, very clear. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, are any of our public attendees have any comments or questions on this topic? Hearing none, no comment from public. Okay, then we will move forward with our agenda. And thank you very much. Tori, I have to comment that the director's report is always really instrumental in having a deep and meaningful conversation about what's up with our college. So thank you very much. So moving on in our agenda, are there any other, oh, yes, Jennifer.
I have to get going, unfortunately, just because this takes a lot more time for remote teaching. So I have to go prepare for my class.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, you
everybody.
Much. All right.
Tori, could you send me the link for the recording so I can catch the end of it?
Okay. Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks very much. We're in the part of the agenda. Are there any other council member updates that you'd like to share? And Elida, I have to say, as a council member, what you shared about masks and our future is really, really valuable. So thank you. Any other updates, questions, comments? Hearing none. Nathan Lindsay did communicate. He's always great. He gets back to me right away, and he let me know that this day is not good for him. So he's obviously deeply involved in other meetings. So he was not able to attend today. Just so you know, I always invite Kirk Lacey, and I never hear back from him. So I assume I should keep inviting him. Tori, what are your thoughts about that?
I know that today our affiliate meeting was scheduled exactly the same time as today's meeting. I think that you might reach out to him personally, because I think somehow he might not be connecting you with the council.
Okay.
So, because I think that in general he would be wanting to be part of these meetings or to participate. So it surprises me he's not responding, but it's making me think that somehow it's going into his junk folder or something. It might be worth a call.
Okay, I will call him. Okay, thank you very much.
What about Quinn? Is he still working?
Oh, thank you. Oh, India, he is still working because Lakeland is an essential business, so he is still working, and I did not hear from him, so I will check. I'll check in with him also. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, people we're missing? Okay.
Just going to comment. I was supposed to have a meeting with Quinn yesterday via, I don't know if it was Zoom or phone, but he canceled and it hasn't been rescheduled. So I guess I don't have any update on him other than we were supposed to meet yesterday.
Yeah, I think he's just working a lot. So I will give him a call. And that, thanks for reminding me.
I'd love to have him in one more meeting because I think I have one more semester here at the Bitterroot College, and then I'm done. I want just one other representative one time.
Yeah,
we're gonna let you go.
No, we're never letting you go.
I'll still come. That's okay with you guys. I'll just pop my little head in.
Yep.
For me.
That would be great. Okay, let's see. Our public attending, are there any comments on general topics? And is our public still with us?
Yeah, this is Justin. I'm still here. I think there's a lot of good things that can come out of this crisis as far as the remote learning and all that. I know that most of the work I do is remote, working with people all across the country. So I think you guys need to embrace this and look at different ways that you can reach out. One thing I'd like to see in the Bitterroot is more science and technology type work, and we've got the biology piece of it with the GSK and all that, but I still think there's a need for that piece of our community to have some more science and technology jobs, and if we can promote that, by working. And one of the challenges is we would need to work with Montana Tech or MSU to get that engineering piece here. And I would see that going through the U of M, we're going to have a lot of challenges with trying to get those type of education through U of M. So Montana Tech's a great place good institution. So if that's the route, that's a good opportunity to work with Montana Tech to get some engineering base classes in the community. So that's all I have. Thanks. And I need to step away probably here in the next 10 minutes. So.
Okay, Justin, I wanted to say something to follow up on what you just said. If we do become an independent community college, that will take a while to actually happen, and there's a lot of territory to cover before that happens. So I would encourage you to stay connected to the Bitterroot College website and look in the paper, because various council member positions, people will be termed out. And so we will have advertisements and a call to our community for new council members. And I feel like you are an interested person, an invested person, and that you have an important employment role in our community. And so when you see those calls for applicants, I really encourage you to apply to be one of the council members.
I think Dave Beatty can probably hit up on his brothers and get them in the engineering realm too. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Justin.
Let me join and listen in.
Alrighty, thank you. All right. Is there any new announcements or documents received in the 2 months since we've really been together?
Nothing
anybody has received. Any new business? I'm sorry, what?
Actually, I have something for the good of the order. I'll say I can speak.
I didn't hear that.
I have something for the good of the order. I was jumping you. Sorry.
Okay. Yes.
Should I go?
Go ahead.
So I didn't put this in the director's report.
Yes.
Only because I ran out of time. But I wanted to give a shout out to the Bitterroot Fab Lab, and particularly to Director John Springer and his Fab Lab colleague Kurt Foster. And so just so you guys know, it's not public yet because we haven't quite gotten the prototype that far. But we've had someone has stepped forward to fund the development of a prototype and the development of a production process for an N95 type reusable mask, and of course it's just considered a kind of a very regionalized product, but this is not the Ryans that have stepped up to do this, not our usual funder, but someone out of Seattle with Montana roots, and essentially John Springer and Kurt Foster have designed and developed a 3D printed buck, what you call a buck or a mold, that then we use we put the vacuum former over that 3D printed mask, 3D printed mask, and then we can go into production of between 50 and 100 of these masks a day, which is very different than just 3D printing something, which is, although that's possible, it's quite slow. The research that's still going on to perfect this new mask is the filtration material, and so they're doing quite a bit of research and looking into the material that then is put into the mask that actually filters the substance or the particles. And also the other thing that's needing to be done is how the mask seals to your face. And we just happen to be quite lucky with the Fab Lab that not only do we have a 3D printer which can print that buck, but then we have the vacuum former, which then can make these mask molds in volume. But we also have the laser engraver, which we can take the silicone fabric and we can quickly, quote unquote, quickly laser engrave the bit that will secure that is that what did I just call it? How so the mask fits securely to your face. It has to have some sort of a gasket between your face and the mask. And so the laser engraver can cut those, and then we have an industrial sewing machine, which then we can sew that gasket onto the mask. And also we can sew the strap onto the mask. So we've just been fortunate. And then we have Kirk and John, who have the ingenuity and engineering expertise to think this through. Where we're at right now with getting our first prototypes out, we should have prototypes out by early next week. Then it'll be testing. And so this is potentially a new piece of equipment, or somewhere that the masks will have to be sent out to be tested. But we can't put anything out and say, oh, it should be, it should filter 95% of the particulate. And you can't do that in a healthcare setting. You can't say, well, maybe, it should work. I mean, the reason these things, they go through lots of testing, and you buy N95 masks from suppliers that are certified. So we have to be very careful on what we say the mask can do, and any disclaimers and all this kind of stuff. And this idea that people are just 3D printing masks and it's all, then it comes out in the news that way, that is really not happening, because although you can 3D print a mask, but it's not any good if you don't have proper filtration or fitting to the face, and it's been tested. And so kind of what we hear in the news is it's not so much really what's happening. Hospitals don't really want these products because they can't guarantee the safety of their, and I'm sure Elida can speak to this, can't guarantee the safety of their staff if things haven't been properly tested and vetted and all that sort of thing. Nonetheless, our funder, despite kind of being aware of all these things where we could do this whole prototype and print the first 50 and no one's going to want them, he still is quite, I don't want to say maybe the word enamored, but he's enamored of the process and the idea that you could do something like this. Whether we actually end up ever getting an order for a variety of different reasons, he is still committed to having our Fab Lab go after this, and that is really exciting. And so again, the mask itself may never be used, but this idea that it could be a mask that can go into regional production, and that it kind of gets creative juices flowing, and I think he understands that. And at any rate, hopefully we can have a story in the paper next week once we have some prototypes printed. But it is really amazing what Kurt Foster and John Springer have been doing, hours and hours, and they're heroes too.
Oh, cool. That is really good to know. Tori, tell me again what Kurt's last name is.
It's Foster, F-O-S-T-E-R, like the beer.
Uh-huh. Okay. That is really great to hear. Thank you so much for sharing that. Terry, you had a comment?
Did anybody see the news story last night? I think it was on KPAX, that some company in Missoula, I don't know, it was like a construction company or a real estate company, bought 3D printers and are making 8 a day for the Missoula Police Department, Sheriff's Department, first responders. So as you were talking about this, I know last night I was thinking, well, that's a slow process, and does the 3D version really seal as well as what you're talking about as far as making one and then having the vacuum former?
Yeah, good questions, because I think there are a lot of charlatan efforts out there thinking they're going to make a buck on this emergency, and so having that quality control researched and efficacy established, it's going to be very important for us. Wow, interesting.
I saw that, and that was my first question. Is they said, we don't, we've never run one, we don't really know, but we've got the directions, and so we're doing it. And I went, oh, I wonder if they've solved the other problems first.
Yeah, yeah, very good question. Wow. Okay, any other updates? I did have a question for us, but before that, any other new business stuff going on?
I actually need to sign off because I've got a student appointment here in 5 minutes, and
Okay.
I have to print out some stuff for her before we get on the phone.
Okay, just so you guys know, because I see Aaron, you have to go also. My only question is, are we going to have a May council meeting?
You know, we
Hope
usually
so.
don't, but I think we should.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we usually have graduation, so we will get that out. We'll get that out there to you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion, but before I need to make a comment to Terry. I think he looks like the Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
We'll just call him the Wizard from now on.
I'm going to take a picture of you, Terry. I'm taking a picture of you and I'm sending it to you. Oh, all right. So I have a motion by Sue. Do I have a second?
Second.
Bob, second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed,
Aye.
same sign. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, thank you, thank